This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, and I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Oh, how you doing, Jason Glick?
I'm doing good, John. Yourself?
Oh, not bad. What do you have for us tonight?
Okay, well, as promised last time, I've basically I want to talk about this is brought on by some of the stuff I picked up at Comic-Con earlier this year, and it's basically about how the uneasy relationship that comics have had with films over the years. I mean, yeah, superhero movies are never been bigger and all, but at the same time, though, for years before, the closest comics got to film were just publishing adaptations of of the films that came out in theaters, and more often than not, these adaptations were just done by whoever Marvel, DC, or whoever had the license, could just whoever was had available in the office at the time. I mean, they were kind of crap, but they were just published just to make to make the available buck and just cash in on the kids who just wanted more of this of this thing.
What time frame are you talking about with respect to these?
We're basically talking everything from the 70s, 80s up through the 90s, because
yes.
can't the whole film a comic book adaptation of a film has kind of fallen out of favor after all these years, because mainly because of years of the fact that the comic book adaptation of a film is kind of crap. I mean, that's been the kind of the reputation they've achieved over these years of just getting nobodies to adapt these things. But even then, there were still a handful of them that were worthwhile, and you can tell by the fact that one of them is still being published today, and that would be Alien, the illustrated story by Archie Goodwin and Walt Simonson. Now, it's probably telling that this wasn't published by Marvel or DC or an American publisher. When it came out way back in 1979, yes, this adaptation is as old as I am, and it was done by Europe's Metal Hurlant, or as we know it, Heavy Metal magazine, and I wrote about this last year, and it's I've heard about this for years, about how this is kind of the gold standard for film to comics adaptations. And to be honest, it actually holds up. It actually holds up pretty well. I mean, it's it's not an overly long adaptation. I mean, it captures all the major beats of the film, from the crew of the Nostromo being woken up on their trip back to Earth. They get the signal from the alien craft. One of them gets attacked by the facehuggers, and then the alien bursts out of the guy's chest during dinner, and then Ripley's the last person to survive after the crew gets picked off one by one. And there's no major differences from the from the film versus this adaptation, but Goodwin and Simonson do a really good job of capturing the overall tension of the film, and actually fleshing out certain bits, just from giving Parker and Brett giving them more personality, so hey, we want more shares for what's going on here. And also I'll just give the entire cast more more character driven bits as well. It's I don't know. It's not transcendent comics, but it's really well executed for what it is. And like I said, if you're coming to it with me, someone who's familiar with how bad just most film adaptations of comics are, just appreciating the artistry that that Simonson and letterer John Workman put into this. Put in this adaptation, it's really quite impressive. Just watching the panel to panel progression for things as simple as watching the Nostromo's docking craft detach and go down to Earth, go down to the planet LE-426. I mean, that's kind of impressive. But then you get to bits like the double page spread where the crew on the planet encounter the alien craft, and it's wow, it's this is this is just really impressive, just to behold the sense of scale that he imbues with this particular scene with. I mean, really, more than anything else, this is Simonson's show. I mean, he does a great job with all the just getting the adapting the design of the film and Geiger's alien designs as well, but and also making it work within his own gritty, craggy style. It's like it's so. I mean, if you've never, if anyone who has seen the film, I still recommend picking this up just because it's interesting to see the how well Goodwin and Simonson captured its appeal on the page. I mean, there are certain bits where Goodwin maybe he does have caption panels where he feels the need to spell things out. Maybe the text is just slightly florid at times, but like when the alien bursts out of the guy's chest, I mean, we don't need another panel, just telling eruption, a scarlet shower of flesh of blood. We don't need that to just to give us the impression of the feel of what's going on here. I mean, Simonson's art captures this perfectly. Okay, yeah, it's like overall, it's like I did enjoy the Alien, the illustrated story, and it kind of makes me wish that these guys had stuck around for Aliens, the illustrated story, but it would have been a much different kind of tension than an experience than what we got, what they had to adapt there. But it kind of would be interesting to see how they were up to the challenge because Archie Goodwin and Walt Simonson, A-list comics guys. Anyway, it's like but since that, but this is kind of like what film adaptations were for comics, right? Decades up until the point where people stopped buying them and companies stopped publishing them. Now, these days, though, the trend seems to be more for going to a script adaptations, of popular films. Just going directly to the script that was made for the film, and or at least getting the people who were involved with the film to come on board for the adaptation themselves. Let's see, one person who actually went around this the other way is Darren Aronofsky, best known as the director of Pi, Requiem for a Dream, Black Swan, and The Wrestler. He actually went around back when he was putting together his film version of The Fountain. He went after it fell apart for the first time. He went and did a graphic novel adaptation with Kent Williams, and that reunited his desire to get the film done. About a year later. This time, though, for his adaptation of the story of Noah, yes, that is Noah of the Ark fame. He teamed up with his regular screenwriter Ari Handel and artist Nico Henrichon to do a story of the film that he wanted to make. It was originally published as 4 albums in Europe beforehand, and it has since been collected and republished here by Image. This basically kind of served as his, this is the film he wanted to make. At least that's the impression I get. And compared to the final product, of the films that I'm going to be talking about here, this is probably the one where I feel that the adaptation or the inspiration supersedes the final product. Because I actually sat down and watched Noah about a week before about a couple days before I recorded this podcast, and I thought it was all right. I mean, I thought Russell Crowe did an interesting job capturing the guy, the spirit of a guy who was called upon by God to save all the animals. It's like all the animals and possibly wipe out humanity and finding a way to deal with that. But also, he's also a family man, and also he had to deal with how do you break the news to your family that we are going to be the last humans, it's like on Earth. It's like, and that God basically wants only the animals to survive and all. So that's some interesting stuff to consider there. And there was some bits of filmmaking there, especially with the stop motion bits or the time lapse bits where we see the forest that Noah was able to grow after he buries the seed that was given to him by his grandfather Methuselah, and it grows into this great big forest, and then the water is spread out across the land. It's really cool seeing that. As is the this is Noah telling the story of like the genesis of man to his to his family. Like there's some really impressive bits of filmmaking there, but there's also a sense of that Hollywood has got its hands upon like saying you have to do it this way, or because otherwise there's no other way, because otherwise it's just going to be silly. Things like Noah like Noah's dad being killed by by the film's main villain, Tubal Cain, who he's a descendant of that particular Cain, and it's just kind of like you're thinking like, okay, yeah, I get what you're doing right there, but that's kind of like but it just feels kind of like more conventional than anything else. The graphic novel that Aronofsky, Herndell, and Henderson did, this it actually feels like a much more fleshed out, budgetless version of the film that he wanted to make. I mean, it's like seeing the bits where Noah is introduced as kind of where Noah goes to plead his case for mankind to change its ways to Tubal Cain. It's like giant city that's reaching up to challenge the skies, and and this overall scale of the thing, it just feels kind of like this is what he could do without making any compromises, and it does feel more fleshed out compared to the compared to the film we got, and there's also the character of Tubal Cain. He's not the guy who killed Noah's dad. He's just kind of a bastard, but he's also someone who's driven to to help ensure that his people survive at any cost. And also there are interesting little bits like throughout the course of the book, such as like Noah knowing the language of the Watchers, the angels that descended to Earth in order to help Adam and Eve after they were cast out of Eden, and how they were eventually hunted and killed by the armies of man. And it's like things like that, things like the moment where like in the film where Noah's one of Noah's sons, Ham, finds one of the girls in Tubal Cain's camp and wants to take her for her wife. In the film, she winds up getting caught in a trap, and then Noah just saves his son and leaves the girl to die. But in the graphic novel, when Ham shows up at the ark when the flood's about to happen, Noah says no. It's like you either die with her or you leave her. Or you come with us, and so Ham chooses to come with them, and I feel that the fact that Noah foists the choice upon his son instead of making the choice for him makes for a more interesting bit of drama, especially when Tubal Cain winds up on the ark, and he has to try it, and he winds up, and Ham is kind of torn between whether do I want to help this man kill my father, who I really hate for what he's done, but at the same time he's my father, and do I want to save him? So, and also there are bits, and also things at the end when Noah has to rely on the animals in order to enact God's will. I mean, stuff like that would have been just insane to see in the film. So, but overall, I generally enjoyed the. Like I said, I really enjoyed the graphic novel, and I feel that if you had to choose between, what I did was I spent like $5 on printing the HD version for Amazon. Meanwhile, I found the $30 hardcover from Image for half off at Comic-Con. But at the same time, though, it's I'd probably say that the graphic novel is worth full cover price, especially Henderson's art, which is gorgeous. I mean, the insane amount of detail that he invested in this in every scene, and I love the tribal designs and accoutrements that he gives to a lot of the cast. I mean, it's like if you were an art person, then this book is well worth having in your library, because it is truly gorgeous. It makes me wish that we saw more of Henderson than we have over the years. But hey, like I said, Noah. Graphic novel versus the film. In this case, graphic novel wins. Then you've also got something else I picked up at Comic-Con for half price, for slightly less, and that would be the adaptation of Django Unchained. Um, Now, it's like, John, you there?
See,
Okay. Now, you like Django Unchained a whole lot, right?
I did.
Yeah, and I did too. It's like, in fact, I think it's probably like easily one of Tarantino's better films. But one of the things you hear about is that he was working down to the wire to get this film up to a certain length before it came out back in 2012, and and with this though, the graphic novel that we got here, it's basically an adaptation of his first draft of that of the film. Yeah, so I mean like the overall story is basically the same. I mean, Django is a former slave who was freed by Doc King Schultz first to help him take down the Brittle brothers. Then he works as a bounty hunter, and then works with King Schultz to get back his wife Brunhilde from the evil Calvin Candy of the Slave Plantation Order of Candyland. Now, I mean, that's all that stuff. That's exactly what you'll see right here in the graphic novel. What's different though is that there's a whole lot of extra stuff in here. Basically, from an extended flashback scene showing you just how Broomhilda, what happened to Broomhilda after she was separated from Django, how she her life at the with the owners who had her before she was won by Candy in a card game, and also extended bits of Django being training with Doc King Schultz. And other interesting flesh character bits, such as one point where like Django shows let's see what or he shows Stephen the house Negro portrayed by Samuel L. Jackson in the film, where he shows him, this is I am the boss of you while I'm in the house right now. And that stuff like that, that's kind of interesting. And also what I was kind of surprised by at one point is that the big climactic point where after Candy figures out that he's being hustled by King Schultz and Django, you'll remember in the film, if you've seen the film, you'll know that Candy brings out this skull to basically go on about phrenology and everything, and that's not in the book, in the original script. Apparently, that was something that he decided to elaborate on for the final draft, which kind of interesting to note right there. I mean, overall, if you've seen the movie, it's like I said, there's some worth here just seeing the Tarantino's script represented on the page, and also just observing what was cut and what wasn't cut. I would have loved to have read more from Tarantino about that kind of decision, even though he just offers a standard issue forward, talking about how cool it is. He's getting the script adapted by one of the film's producers, Reginald Hudlin. However, what I did like about the series was the art, which was provided by a good portion of it was provided by R.M. Guerra, who worked with Jason Aaron on Scalped, and dude knows westerns and how to exaggerate for good dramatic effect really well. It's like he handles a good portion of the art with Jason Latour pitching in for the flashback sections and doing nice work there. Then you've also got Dennis Cohen and Vertigo mainstay Daniel Zelj pitching in for subsequent issues. They do solid jobs, but overall, it's I felt that Guerra really did a good job of capturing the larger than life depiction of these. Of these characters and the overall scenario. I mean overall, it's if you've seen the film, it's you don't need to buy the the graphic novel. It's kind of like an interesting what's her? It complements the film in a fun way. It's kind of like a really cool DVD extra they couldn't have been able to fit on the DVD for what it's worth. And over, it's like I said, I enjoyed it. It's like, and it's not an essential read by any means, but it's still good fun, and it does make me want to go back and watch the movie again at some point, because like all the best bits you remember from the film, like I like the way you die, boy. It's like, yeah, that's they're there as well, but at the same time, as much as I like the art in here, it doesn't have like quite the same the nimble precision that you get with how it's portrayed, and like how verbal jousting and and Tarantino's overall verbosity is portrayed on on screen. So there's that.
I think he just does well with dialogue and actors and having them execute it. So he really does think about he really does consider a lot of that, according to a lot of the like interviews I've seen him talking about, So he actually on his films has directorial, like he has like the final say, whereas a lot of, I believe, editors do not allow the directors, which sounds funny, to edit their films.
Well, it's interesting. I would actually wonder about that, because as I said, I'd heard that before the film came out, he was basically working it. He had basically had a certain mark to hit in terms of it can be this long when we're going to put it in the theaters. I don't know if that was something that was if it was something that was part something with the theater owners, or if it was his longtime executive producer Harvey Weinstein basically saying, yeah, Quentin, I love you and all, but no, film has to be this long, or else we're not going to release it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's like, I mean, dude loves to hear him talk, and also, yeah, I guess it's also something that's worth mentioning here is that if you've seen the film, and you've seen Tarantino's other films, he's more than any other white guy in the world right now. Dude loves to say the N-word, and that's more than apparent here. And at the same time, though, it's like I realized that's kind of like a just because you can doesn't mean you should type of argument. With the setting, the setting and theme of Django Unchained, it actually makes a certain amount of sense, just to show you just how African Americans were regarded as like subhuman characters. I mean, yes, it's an ugly term, and they and it's painful to see, but at the same time, I look at even as you looking at something like the over the top violence in the graphic novel and in the film. It's like you kind of it's hard to stomach at times. You wonder, if he's just making some of this stuff up to just get his rocks off. But no, part of me thinks that peace is probably even worse. Back in the actual world, how they were, how African Americans were treated back then. So, in fact, I remember seeing the film thinking it makes an interesting companion piece with Lincoln, just so this is how things were. This is how things how we had to go. This is how things were, and this is why things needed to be changed. So there you go. But I guess this podcast wouldn't be complete without me saying a few more words about how utterly terrible the adaptation of George Lucas's The Star Wars was. So I read about this a couple months back, and basically, before they lost the license, Dark Horse announced that they were going to be doing a adaptation of George Lucas's original first draft of Star Wars, that was back when it was called The Star Wars, and you had things like Anakin Starkiller, General Kenobi. It's like all these really weird interpretations of characters who were who were not who would go on to play much different roles in the in the film and trilogy itself. In fact, the really the most interesting part about it is just seeing all the stuff that was that made it into the film, and then not just the film, but also like subsequent movies, subsequent films as well, because the bit about like one of the like C-3PO being it's like revered as a god by the Ewoks. Well, that was that yeah, it had its genesis here, but at the same time, though, the dialogue is as abysmal as you'd expect from Lucas, and without the charisma of actors like Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, and Ewan McGregor to try and add some, like trying to redeem it in some way. And the art from Mike Mayhew, I mean, Mayhew is a fantastic artist when you give him the time to work. The original 8-issue serialization was plagued by some delays because he do needs time to work. But in the end, you could tell there are parts where he was clearly being rushed. We said, "Okay, yeah, you got to get this art out right now, right now." And overall, though, it's like it's really kind of terrible. And I basically see, I went and bought the $40 hardcover, which contains issue 0, because I figured, okay, this will make a nice collector's edition, considering there's no way this is going to be reprinted once Dark Horse loses the license to Marvel. Even thinking that, I still feel I got taken, because it is that bad. It's probably in the running for one of the worst things I've read this year, because and I can't really blame author J.W. Rinsler for this, because I mean he was probably just taking like swaths of Lucas's text and just putting them in the in comics form. But at the same time, though, I mean, just as Tarantino is a much better writer than Lucas in terms of dialogue, at least, it's like Hudlin didn't really have to do a whole lot of work there. But Rinsler, it's like, he's also the guy who's given us the great making of Star Wars films. I've only read the Making of the Empire Strikes Back, but god damn, that was a really fascinating read. That actually makes me want to go back and pick up the other 2 volumes that he's done, which were for, of course, Star Wars and Return of the Jedi. But this, he apparently, I'm assuming that he just did not touch anything at all for Lucas's script, because like the dialogue is, just that bad. Yeah. So, John, it's like, any thoughts you want to add on this here?
Oh no! Although if they just adapted that script straight from what Lucas wrote, I can imagine it would be bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even outside of the realm of it, considering he produced some really awful prequel trilogy movies. I'm sorry, there's barely anything redeemable in those plot lines, and if he was responsible for those, I can pretty much imagine what a first draft or a first cut of like the Star Wars movie would have been like. So, I mean, it's not even the stretch of the imagination to consider that it would be bad. Although, it's too bad that it's bad. Because it sounded like it would have had some promise.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like the idea that that was behind this. Just showing us, what the the genesis of this, of this huge franchise. But at the same time, though, it kind of shows you just how important, just like an editor in time, it's like, and just that a second opinion can be.
Yeah, I mean, we could take Star Wars, the first movie, and kind of like you could sum it up in a couple of paragraphs, I'm sure. I mean, it's not like it's overly deep.
No, and it's like it also makes you appreciate how much Lawrence Kasdan brought to the second and third movies, with being a co-writer there.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And really, I mean, for many, many years, I would have told people, the New Hope is like, that is the Star Wars movie. But then, you look at The Empire Strikes Back, and you just and you're just thoroughly entertained by it on many levels, and you go, wow, this is truly like the successor. This is the best part of the trilogy. And even the Return of the Jedi is kind of a rehash of the first movie. It may be hard to see, but they brought back a Death Star. I mean, there's just so many other little elements about it, which makes pretty much The Empire Strikes Back like stand on its own as like, I believe, the best out of those 3. with
Yeah.
the first movie being like, okay, that's it. But George Lucas is. It's funny. I like some of the other stuff he's been involved in, or at least the earlier stuff, but there's not really a lot of stuff that I could say is like, wow, this guy makes hard-hitting dialogue and has amazing cast, an amazing like set of characters he's built here.
Indeed, I mean, like he's often talked about just how he's not really doesn't like directing actors, how he just kind of likes dealing with like the whole digital tech side of stuff
Yeah,
more than anything else.
I think his claim to fame is more on the special effects side of the house,
Yeah.
and then just stringing that all together. It's like being dealt a full house. It's just like you've got the perfect hand, and I don't knock the success. I know there's a lot of hatred towards George Lucas. Like, hey, look, George Lucas did all this stuff, but if it wasn't for that first Star Wars, the original blockbuster, in my opinion, you wouldn't have had all this stuff. And by God, you probably wouldn't even be reading that graphic novel, to be honest with you.
That's true. I mean, it's like, and it's also worth noting just how lucky he was to find that group of actors who were able to really like deliver that stuff and like ultimately elevate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Pretty good with Ewan McGregor. I mean, God knows, like I'm pretty sure we can talk shit about the prequel trilogy all we want.
Sure.
But I honestly think they probably would have been unwatchable without what he brought to them, especially with the second movie.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, but yeah, that's all I've got. That's all we got for tonight about like film, screen to film, comics type stuff. Mm-hmm. And next time, well, hey, I just found out that one of the manga series I've been reading for a couple of years now has finally reached its end. That would be The Flowers of Evil, and I was kind of surprised. This is a title that I was deeply conflicted about in terms of like, do I actually want to keep reading this after the first volume? But hey, I've stuck through with it to the end. So, time to talk about just was it worth following up to that point? And actually, like for the next couple of podcasts are kind of spoken for, because after that, the last couple of trade paperbacks from Dark Horse, Star Wars comics from Dark Horse, will have arrived, and so I'll be pouring a 40. It's like over Dark Horse publishing Star Wars comics, which kind of sad in my opinion. And then also, like I said, either after that, I'll have my copy of Marvel's Original Sin event will have arrived as well. So like I said, it's things. Things could change, but that's how it's going to be for the next couple of weeks and all next month and a half really.
All right, and we'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, laters everyone.
All right, bye.